Hey, Battle Bill here with another video, and today we're going to get into some more Master League Go Battle League battles. So, in today's set, I'm trying out another new team. Master League has been a struggle, and I'm hoping by the time Season 2 comes around, I will have the necessary Dialga that I need. So, as we finish Season 1 here, thankfully, this Friday, all the leagues will be back. I'm just going to be experimenting with as many different teams as possible. Maybe I'll get one to stick to try out again when Season 2 comes around. All I know is, once all the leagues come back, I'm focusing on Great League, and I'll probably play around with Ultra League too. But Master League is just not happening until I have myself a Dialga. Either way, today's team that I'm experimenting with consists of Giratina Origin as the lead, Melmetal, and Mewtwo in the back. And the little spice picks, I guess, not really changes. I feel like more and more people have been using these movesets, but regardless, the focus on the movesets that might be a little bit different are Giratina Origin. I'm running it with Dragon Pulse because you just know once you change your lead to something like Giratina Origin, you're going to see a Snorlax lead, even though you haven't seen one in any other battles at all, because it's just Niantic, I'm watching you. And then I'm also running Mewtwo in the back with PSYSTRIKE and Focus Blast because, like I said, I don't have a Dialga, so I got to take out all my anger on those Dialgas, and it's so satisfying hitting a Dialga at full health with a Focus Blast. So, let's get into the matches here. My plan here is essentially to try and leave Mewtwo as my last Pokemon with maybe a shield advantage or at least an energy advantage against whatever their last Pokemon is. His first match is against Kacham F, and my Giratina is going in, and he's leading with Togekiss. Isn't it such a great feeling? So, this is a new team for me. I'm not 100% sure what my plan is at first. So I'm like, you know what? Let's get my Giratina a bunch of energy. I'm going to charge all the way up to a Shadow Ball, and then I'm going to dip, because this is a lost lead. I go in the Melmetal. I'm going to see what his counter move is to counter my switch. He brings in Garchomp, and I'm like, great. So my lead got hard countered. Now my switch-in's getting hard countered. Off to a real great start. I know he sent this energy way too quick. It has to be a Sand Tomb. So I decide not to shield. And at this point, I'm not going to shield either way because I'm losing this matchup no matter what. I'm just going to throw as many superpowers as I can and just do as much damage to this Garchomp that I can before my Melmetal goes down. So that first superpower lands. I go for the second one immediately. And I'm hoping, or not really hoping, I'm thinking to myself, I'm expecting him to just try and Sand Tomb me down. My defense is super low, so he's probably going to try and Mud Shot me also. I just don't want him to leave this situation with too much energy. This is definitely another Sand Tomb coming out, and I'm hoping it'll take me out. It almost does. I actually get to another superpower, but I was worried about getting farmed down. I was in farm range. Luckily, I was able to get to this superpower too, so I can get his Garchomp in the red. You see my Melmetal hanging on there by a sliver, and he still ends up farming me down a little bit, but at least I got another superpower off. And then I go back into Garchomp, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to try and farm him down and just have a bunch of energy. I knew this was a Sand Tomb coming, but I did not want to take the chance, just because I had 2 shields, and he could have had enough energy for an Outrage. It seemed, I don't know, it seemed so obvious of a bait that he might not have. That's what my concern was. Then he brings in a Pokemon. I immediately went for the Shadow Ball, and I learn right here never to do that again. I was expecting to just bring the Togekiss back in. I didn't expect a Snorlax to come in. So wait, let him bring the Pokemon in, see that Pokemon before you just go and chuck a charge move. I was expecting Togekiss, but like I said, I have the Dragon Pulse, that does a little bit more damage, and at this point, I'm debating how can I possibly play this out, what's my only win condition. I definitely need some more energy on my Giratina to deal with that Togekiss if I wanted any type of chance. He's storing his energy here, ends up being a Body Slam, and I was surprised that actually took me out. I know like it does minimal damage, but now that I just remembered, I was Sand Tombed. That's why it took me out. So in the moment, I didn't realize that a Body Slam would take me out, which is why I farmed up all that energy. Either way, his Togekiss comes back in. He's storing an Ancient Power. I have to shield at this point because these charms are going to really add up. And he also has 2 shields. So like my only win condition here is to throw 3 PSYSTRIKES and then get to a 4th one on a Snorlax. So this first match is not exactly off to the most positive starts. For whatever reason, I just could not get a shield out of him in the early game of this. But I decided to try and overfarm. I'm going to go for another PSYSTRIKE here. I don't remember if he gets to another Ancient Power or not, but if he does, it's going to take me out. He's got like 2 more charms that are going to take me out. Yeah, we see MP-Tide. So even if I had the 2 PSYSTRIKEs there, whether I might have overfarmed or not, he was going to take me out regardless, and this ends up being GG in Game 1. So, not off to a great start with the new team. As I get used to playing with it, I start to learn it a little bit more and more. In that situation, I definitely could have considered swapping in Mewtwo instead of going with my hard counter, because then, what did he match me with? I brought in my Melmetal. He matched me with, I don't even remember. Oh, he matched me with Garchomp. So I would have brought in Mewtwo. Mewtwo would have definitely had a much better matchup against his Garchomp or his Snorlax, which would have been his swap-ins. So that could have been a play for the first match. But either way, we get into the next match, and it's Giratina on Giratina. And this is pretty bait dependent. My issue is I don't have a bait move. So I'm debating, how do I charge this up to make him think I have an Ominous Wind so that I could possibly get him not to shield. He ends up shielding. And now he's going for his charge move, and honestly, because he's shielded, I don't have a choice but to shield. But this all just becomes a guessing game and a baiting game. He throws an Ominous Wind, so now I'm in a really tough situation. I can't really win this because now he's ahead of me on energy. And I'm like, that was way too quick for it to be a Shadow Ball. I was really surprised, I think this match specifically, because there were situations where he could have thrown a Shadow Ball and he had just thrown a bunch of Ominous Winds. He decides to also switch out. So I was really confused. He was in the driver's seat there. There was no reason for him to play it that way. He must have been running Ominous Wind and Dragon Pulse, but I don't think I've seen a single Giratina Origin with that moveset. So that was confusing to me. Either way, I'm going for the superpower here. I know how to play out this Dialga matchup. You've probably seen it a million times. I've seen it a million times. You want to charge up 2 superpowers and chuck one. Sometimes you can go for the bait, but like you noticed before how he didn't shield. I don't want to throw a Rock Slide at a Dialga that doesn't shield. It sets me back even further. Anyhow, I'm going for the second superpower after I shielded his Draco Meteor. I kind of wish that I hadn't clicked it right away because I could have charged up more energy since he threw a Draco Meteor. He had thrown all his energy and my Melmetal probably could have had a second superpower ready or Rock Slides ready for this Giratina that just came in. But regardless, I get to this Rock Slide anyway. And unfortunately, because I had thrown 2 superpowers at his Dialga, these Rock Slides are not going to do anywhere near as much damage, and because they're nerfed. He's going for his charge move here, and I'm okay with that. It's most likely, I'm thinking to myself it should be a Shadow Ball. It ends up being an Ominous Wind. This is where I got confused again. So I'm like, you know what, let me bring in Giratina Origin and throw a Shadow Ball at his Giratina Origin to either force the shield or to take it out. He ends up shielding it, and I'm like, okay, well, now he's able to farm me down. But I was thinking to myself, maybe I can get in Melmetal and get to another Rock Slide. That was the reason why I took it out. I took out the Melmetal so that the debuffs would go away, but he got way too much energy off my Giratina Origin, and he throws another Ominous Wind. This Ominous Wind makes sense because my Melmetal's almost down. But regardless, I bring him Mewtwo, and this is where he makes a mistake. He swaps. By him doing that and not even trying to like Shadow Claw me more and throw an Ominous Wind, he must not have had Shadow Ball. Regardless, by him doing that, I'm able to overfarm and go for this Focus Blast that's going to one-shot his Snorlax. And because I overfarmed on his Snorlax, you'll see I have a little bit of energy on my way to the Psystrike, and I can get to the Psystrike and beat him to the charge move and take out his Giratina. If he didn't immediately swap, he could have definitely have thrown an Ominous Winds or a Shadow Ball if he would have had it, most likely, and he could have probably one-shot my Mewtwo with the Shadow Ball or taken out a majority of the health with the Ominous Winds. But he didn't do that, and he brought in the Snorlax, so that literally cost him the match. He was in the driver's seat. He made a bunch of mistakes. I'm not complaining. I will take it. Now getting into match number 3 of the set, I'm going up against the Fundraiser, and I lead Giratina, and he leads Snorlax. Look at that. Yes, it's only happened one match, but how many Snorlax leads do you guys see? Unless you're leading Giratina Origin all the time, then maybe that's why you see a bunch of them. But I swear I never see Snorlax leads. Never. Anyhow, continuing into the match, I'm going for this Rock Slide here. I immediately just swapped to Melmetal because I've used Melmetal so much that I've essentially just like trusted it as a safe switch almost on any team of 3 that I've been running. Maybe I could have went with Mewtwo, but it ends up working out better because Giratina Altered here does less damage with those Shadow Sneaks against my Melmetal than they would do against my Mewtwo. So regardless, I'm over farming. I'm going for another Rock Slide, and because I guess this was his counter to Melmetal, that actually kind of helps me in this situation, and my goal is to just try and get switch advantage back, because I don't want my Giratina Origin falling on that Snorlax. Yes, I have Dragon Pulse, but I really need that Snorlax to be weakened for those Dragon Pulses to make the difference, because they still take forever to charge up to, and they don't do like a bunch of damage. So my hope is to try and have my Mewtwo on a Snorlax. He's going for another charge move here. It's a Shadow Sneak, so I decide to shield. And I'm just going to continue farming up. He has 2 shields. I have 1 shield. And I'm thinking to myself, you know what? I might be able to beat him to my, like, get to the rock slides before he gets to the Shadow Sneaks. That's what I'm starting to realize here. So I throw this rock slide. He ends up shielding it. And I'm like, okay, you think you want shield advantage. But I know I can tank this Shadow Sneak. And your Shadow Claws aren't doing much damage to me. So if I shield the next one, and you shield, I should still be able to beat you to another rock slide. So I should actually be able to commit to getting switch advantage back. So I go for another rock slide here. I'm hoping he won't shield. It'll just make my life easier. But I throw it. He decides 2 shields. And then I'm like, you know what? He's going to throw this. Maybe the Shadow Claws will take me out. So I'm not going to shield. And what I can try and do, and it ends up being a Dragon Claw, which was smart because I had such little health, is I'm going to bring in Giratina Origin, and I'm just going to farm up a bunch. Now that I've farmed up this extra energy, when Snorlax comes in, I can get to the Dragon Pulse a little bit quicker, then take my Giratina Origin out, and then try and build up energy on my Mewtwo and see what his decision ends up being. So I'm going for the Dragon Pulse here. It lands. You see, it does like a third, which is nice against Snorlax, but like Giratina really still gets walled by Snorlax regardless. He's going for his charge move here, and he's licked the hell out of my Giratina, and he got a few more licks against my Mewtwo, so I decide to shield. Ends up being an Earthquake. That ends up being a really big shield on my end, and I'm just over farming because I don't know what he has in the back, and I know a Psystrike will take out a Snorlax at this health. It also helps he threw a chunk of energy, so I knew I could safely farm up some extra energy and then go for a Psystrike. Psystrike takes him out, and now this all depends on what his last Pokemon is. This is where I love having Mewtwo in the back. This energy advantage, I'm going for the Focus Blast here. This is the most satisfying sight you will see in Master League PvP. Look at that. That Dialga is down. Take out some of my frustrations on it. Either way, I'm able to win that match in the set. And now I'm off to a 2-1 start. I try to show you guys clips. Honestly, I mean, if I had more 5-0 clips, I probably would be posting them. But I kind of like it when I post the 3-2 clips because, I mean, I kind of just jinxed it. But I'm 2-1, so you don't know which match I'm going to win and which match I'm going to lose out of these next 2. But I like showing the 3-2 clips because they show you the strengths, where I can win and what the team is good for. And then they still show you some losses and they show you the weaknesses. And it's important to know that because there are no perfect teams in Pokemon Go PvP, which is a majority of the fun of it. Dialga is still overpowered, though. Anyhow, getting into this next matchup, we have Giratina Origin on a Togekiss, so I've lost lead again, which, I mean, you know, it's going to happen, it's tough. But I decide to overfarm again and bring in Melmetal as my safe switch and see what he matches me with. He matches me with Machamp, and I'm like, great, I'm getting hard countered again. But Machamp is so glassy that he's going to go for this Cross Chop. It's going to do a good chunk of my health, but I'm still going to get to 2 superpowers. I'm not going to be able to take out his Machamp, even if he doesn't shield, which I'm pretty sure he doesn't. I go for the superpower here, but Machamp is still going to get pretty low if he decides not to shield, which means even though I'm going to lose this matchup out, whenever I decide to bring back in, it can essentially farm down his Machamp the rest of its health. So I went for 2 superpowers. See how low he already is? And he ends up countering me down and having a little bit of extra energy. So I'm like, you know what? Giratina will handle Machamp's charge moves better than Mewtwo will. So I'll bring Giratina in, and even if this is a Rock Slide, I'm going to just tank it because a Togekiss will handle my Giratina regardless. It ends up being a Cross Chop, so I'm like, perfect, even better, I didn't waste a shield on it, and I commit to the farm down. Now, this time I learned my lesson from the first match. I'm not going to throw my energy right away. And look, it's a Snorlax. So I learned my lesson. I'm throwing the Dragon Pulse here. And I'm debating how do I want to play this out because he still has 2 shields. And Mewtwo is still going to take a lot of damage from the Togekiss's charms. And even these licks start to add up. So my only goal here is to just throw as many Psystrikes as possible. Because if I try to go for a Focus Blast, that might be super obvious. And then I'm going to rely on the bait. He decides to shield. And the last thing I would want is my Focus Blast getting shielded. He goes for his charge move. I know that Mewtwo is my only hope at this point. So even if this is a Body Slam, which it is, I have no choice but to shield it. And I'm seeing what he's going to decide to do. He's making a smart play here because his Togekiss, I mean, honestly, his Togekiss and his Snorlax both have great matchups against my Giratina. It really didn't make a difference if he swapped in one or the other. But I get the other shield on his Snorlax, and he's also going for another charge move here. And I'm pretty sure I decided not to shield it. I think this was a mistake I made. I decided not to shield it because I thought the body slam would do a little bit less, and I was hoping that maybe that would help my Giratina, but then he has Togekiss, which relies on Charm, so I don't know what I was thinking in this moment, to be honest. So that was a mistake. Definitely should have shielded. I go for the Side Strike, take out a Snorlax, and now a Charm is going to take out my Mewtwo, so I got to bring in Giratina immediately, and I have to go for the Shadow Ball. I think my logic was that even if I shielded that Body Slam, his Togekiss would have most likely have gotten to some sort of charge move, so I get the Togekiss super close to being down, but if I didn't have the shield, he most likely could have had charge move to throw at me, which would have taken me out, and I would have lost this match either way. So overall, I tried to play it out to the best of my abilities. I kept it really close considering I lost lead. Togekiss on Giratina is not exactly an easy match to recover from. And now we're 2-2 in the set, and we're going to go for this 5th match. This 5th match ends up being against Juseth. And you can see my poor rating, 2719. I've really been fluctuating. I'll get like all the way down to 2700, and then I'll be up around 2850-ish. But I just seem to peak there. Anyhow, this last match, I finally win a lead. Or no, not finally. I think I won like 1 or 2 other leads. I don't know off the top of my head. But regardless, I win this lead. It's Melmetal on Giratina. He's going for his charge move. And I don't know if I just played it wrong or it's because I don't have Ominous Wind on my Giratina. But he decides to keep in his Melmetal here. And I'm going to go for the Shadow Ball because obviously I don't have an Ominous Wind to bait with. But this matchup ends up being a lot closer than I remember it being when I had Melmetal against an opponent's Giratina. So I found that interesting. He's going for another Rock Slide. I decide not to shield just because I'm waiting to see if he's going to switch. I was really surprised that he committed to this matchup. But regardless, I know once he gets his next Rock Slide, I definitely need to shield. So I'm going for my Shadow Ball. I'm assuming he's not going to shield. I mean, all I can do is throw Shadow Balls. I can't really bait. I get him in the red, and I'm hoping at this point I can just farm him down. Then he gets to another Rock Slide, and I'm like, alright, I definitely have to shield this. And I really want to commit to the farm down so that whatever comes in can get hit by a Shadow Ball. So I'm Shadow Clawing him down. I'm continuing to Shadow Claw him down. And notice how he beat me to the charge move. And I let this one go through. Look at how low or how close this Melmetal gets my Giratina to be taken out. So I'm like, you must really want Ominous Wind for that matchup to land those baits, because I didn't realize the one shield was that close. Anyhow, I'm waiting on his Pokemon to come out. I am tapping on my screen. You can't see it, but I'm tapping. I'm ready to throw a Shadow Ball immediately. Look, I'm clicking it. Dialga's Dragon Breaths are just too quick. It's too fast of a quick move. Take out my Giratina, and all that energy goes to waste, which is a bad feeling. But I have Melmetal in the back who can counter his Dialga. And if he decides to switch, I have Mewtwo who can essentially counter his Dialga as long as I can get that shield out of him. So I'm not too worried in this matchup. I've charged up enough for 2 superpowers. I'm going for one of those superpowers here, and he decides to shield it, which I found interesting. And I'm wondering if he's going to take out his Dialga, so I try to go for the superpower as quick as possible. We see him P-tie. I'm worried about this being a big charge move. I shield, ends up being Iron Head, but we see him P-tied, so it's not like his Dialga can really sneak out of this, which is what I was worried about, which is why I didn't charge up for 2 superpowers again this time. So I throw this one, it lands. It gets him pretty close to being done, and I'm trying to be cautious, but I still end up throwing the superpower right away, and he pulls off the swap. So I'm like, great, all that caution goes out the window. I don't know what's here, but it ends up being Giratina. I land a superpower on it. You see how little damage that did. So now my only hope is to get to these Side Strikes as fast as possible on my Mewtwo and do as much damage as I can before he gets to most likely to be Shadow Ball. Great English, right? But ends up, I'm assuming he's going to be a Shadow Ball, and that'll just one-shot my Mewtwo. So my only chance and my only plan of action to try and pull off this match is to obviously have my Melmetal come in. It's no longer debuffed from the superpowers, but I need to go for a Rock Slide. I need to overcharge just a teeny amount. Oh, I didn't, though. I got worried about the Shadow Ball, but I wanted to overcharge a teeny amount because I need to also beat his Dialga to a charge move. Because if you can see, between the Dragon Breaths and whatnot, I got the extra Thunder Shock in at the end because Rock Slide didn't take it out. That ended up being helpful. But with the Dragon Breaths, I'm pretty much like in Iron Head range. So luckily, I beat him to a charge move. I get to his superpower. And it's a fully charged superpower because I'm not nerfed anymore. And that will take out his Dialga. And I will win the match. And I will end up going 3-2 for the set. So that ends up being my set with that team. I actually just realized, like recently, because I was watching his videos, that PSYSTRIKES is running like that exact team. I wonder if he's running Ominous Wind or Dragon Pulse on his Giratina. But I kind of wonder what he does in that Togekiss lead matchup, or if he loses leads like a Dialga or a Snorlax. But I think I played it out pretty well. I kept those matches close at least. I ended up losing them. But let me know what you think of this team. Guys, please recommend me some teams with 3. I know I need a Dialga and a Kyogre, but like, I cannot go into Season 2 struggling in Master League again. I'm going to be really annoyed. So, you know, in a month from now, if you hear me repeating myself, complaining, just like give me a bunch of hate in the comments. I deserve it. Anyhow, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I've really been appreciating all the feedback you guys have been giving me. I'm just hoping I can continue to put out the best PvP videos that I can. Also, as I get more and more comfortable with this, maybe I'll start to diversify instead of just doing matches. But I don't know. I like doing the videos this way. I don't know if I could do like what the Hero Vanges do and do like these meta-analyses and doing like these PV poke type videos, and there's nothing against it. I've watched a bunch of them. I think Hero Vange is a great PvP YouTuber. It's just, I don't know, it's just not something that's for me. Either way, I appreciate you guys, and I'll see you all in the next video.